Hey guys. Whoa. Hey. Just a little hey. Okay. Welcome to Design Dev OKC. Um, this is a meetup for creative professionals. We meet once a month, 7 p.m. on second Tuesdays. And it's me and my husband, Steven. We host the event. We own Steed Interactive, and we were bored, so we thought we'd get this group going. And we've been having fun with it, meeting a lot of new people. It's a great place to get connected to other designers, developers, and other creative professionals who work with clients or at agencies or in-house marketing. It's been really good. So we're glad you're here. You guys are welcome to get up and grab cookies if you want. Those are brought to us by Tech Systems. Alex and Eric are not here tonight, but there's email addresses if you need to reach out to them. They've been really helpful so far. They're good for making connections, or if you need any professional resources or anything like that. They've been really good to just reach out to. So I encourage you to do that. So we are all about getting connected here in Oklahoma City, and one thing that we have coming up on the horizon is we have designdevokc.com, DSNDEV okc.com. Sorry, the letters are confusing sometimes. But we are going to start putting up a directory, and this directory is kind of for us, by us, and we are just a place that you can get listed as a creative professional and kind of list your specialties, and then also find other businesses that are owned by us, or we work for, or we enjoy working with. A place to kind of recommend different places that different vendors. It'll be a really good resource for us. So if you go to bit.ly/OKC Pros or bit.ly/OKC Shops, you can do it on your phone. You can enter yourself, and then this information will all be going to this website. And we are very grateful that Back 40, Robbie here with Back 40, and Ryan and Adrian are also some regulars here, but they volunteered to design and develop the site for us, and kind of this first part of the site is still very collaborative, so it'll be up and going soon, probably this year sometime. So we're excited, and that's one of the ways you can get connected. Another one of the ways, we're on Slack. 7,000 messages since we've been on Slack. We're pretty active throughout the week, and you can see that there's a lot of private messages back and forth to each other too, so people use this as a tool to get connected, like set up lunch dates or all kinds of things. So it's been really good. And then we're also on Twitter and Instagram. Tonight, while you are listening to the speakers, you can tweet and just, I guess, quotes. We love quotes, so please do that. And tonight, Crafted by Clover, Clint Williams and Scott, they'll be speaking tonight, and we get to hear them. Please tweet with them and ask them questions. It'll be good. And let's see, if you guys want to come up, I'm done. Yeah. And were you guys plugged in?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yes. I met these guys a couple months ago. They've been really good helping me and Steven. Just they're good for recommendations and that kind of thing too, and just very helpful, very inspirational as far as design goes. So I'm excited to hear them. Mm-hmm. We're gonna
Here, right?
right here.
I think we'll be fine. Can you guys hear us? Yeah. All right. I'm Clint. This is Scott. If you're going to tweet at me, it's Clint Williams 24. My Instagram is just at Clint Williams. 24. 24. Yeah, it's 24. I couldn't get at Clint Williams.
Yeah.
Got on too late.
And I'm Scott Scribner, Escriv, if you want. You guys doing all right tonight? Yeah? Very good. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to share. I want to start off with this quote. I'm just going to read it. You take a look at it, and we're going to see what stands out. All right. Oh, it's right here. Awesome.
It's the beauty of
Yeah,
Keto.
exactly. If we are to transform the whole and truly alter the very nature of things for good, then the mode of change cannot be revolution, but evolution, a gradual development over a long period of time. Like, what are we even talking about, right? What stands out with this quote? Anything?
Don't be shy, please.
All right, what about that? Okay, all right. I don't like that though. I'm not a, no, I want it now. Yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, absolutely. Sustainability. There's some kind of relationship, connection to evolution and sustainability. Very good. What else? For good. Okay, why for good? Okay.
This is true.
Absolutely. We all want to be a part of something for good, right? Yeah. What else? All right. How can you change did you say how can you change the nature of things? And evolution is changing the nature of things? Is that what you said? I'm sorry. Ah, okay. All right. Yeah.
It really builds on the fact that a revolution is often short term, and evolution is long term and moving better,
Yeah.
bigger,
Yeah, good.
in every way, rather than just a bang flash and then who knows what happens next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's absolutely what Kester Bruin's getting at. He is a mathematician. He's a British mathematician that writes theology. Kind of random. But I love this quote. Yeah, it's absolutely this idea that, sure, revolution does happen and it does change things, but that lasting, sustainable kind of change, those things often are this long process of just small tweaks, small changes, just like we get from this bigger picture of like biology and evolution in that sense. So we wanted to start there. The name of our talk, very official, solve and repeat, evolve or die.
But it's better if you go,
Yeah.
evolve or die.
Way better. Way better. Why did I even do that? Come on.
Didn't ask.
It's so dramatic, right? Evolve or die.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in our daily life, starting Clover, sometimes it feels like evolve or die, like everything is on the line. So we kind of want to talk to you a little bit about this process of evolution, how we've seen it, problem solving, all of that.
As it pertains to design and to the business side of design, which is what our disciplines are within the company. Scott's our creative director. I'm operations director and handle all of the nuts and bolts and all that fun stuff, which I actually like. So,
Yeah,
but with that, should we go into the why?
absolutely.
So it's important for you to know the why because we're going to tell you a little bit about the how, but it doesn't matter unless you know why we started this whole company in the first place. We came from a smaller agency and we were, observing things that we liked about it and things that we didn't like, and we saw a chance to start a company on our own, and we could start to do these things that we wanted to try. Sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, I would like to see if this works. And for us, working for somebody else, that wasn't really an option. We couldn't experiment the way that we wanted to. We felt that in areas such as pricing, we wanted to be a little bit more, move away from the hourly, where we kind of, live and die by the billable hour. We wanted to see what it would be like to value price and not have to burden ourselves by, constantly tracking time and presenting that back to our clients. And, all of those things, we saw the opportunity to go and handle client relationships the way that we wanted to do it. My background was, and you'll learn about this in a few minutes, but I was a designer for a decade. I worked with a lot of different clients and a lot of different companies, and I kind of wanted to try some other things on my own that I wasn't getting to do. And then we wanted to create a niche for ourselves in the market. So we didn't want to be a full service agency. We wanted to provide design and development and content strategy. There's some offshoots of that, but at our core, that's what we knew we could do really well. And we thought, now's the time to do this. Scott and I are both partners, and we have 2 additional partners that are in our Denver office. And we have a Denver studio. It sounds glamorous. It's really because they didn't want to move back to Oklahoma.
Totally don't get that.
We said, stay there, that's fine. And then we have one employee here who's a graphic designer, and we have an employee in Denver who is a developer. So there's 6 on our team total. I'm just going to tell them about me a little bit.
Do it.
Is that all right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I started graphic design as a hobby back in the, 1995 with Microsoft Word art. Anybody remember this? Now, it gets better because this was Microsoft Office 93, and you got it on 33 floppy disks. God forbid you lose one of the floppy disks, because they're really hard to get, and it was expensive. So that moved on to Print Shop Pro and all of those things. I got a color printer when I graduated high school. I started using Corel Draw. I think my first version of Photoshop was actually Photoshop 5, and then I'm still a huge fan of Macromedia Freehand and kind of wish that Adobe hadn't killed it off. But all that to say, my hobby turned into a part-time graphic design position with a nonprofit, along with doing admin assistant stuff. I started going to Oklahoma City Community College. I turned that into a full-time design position with Dobson Cellular Systems and was there for almost 3 years. Worked for the city of Edmond for a year and realized that municipal government isn't quite my thing. Actually stopped working there when I was asked to design a brochure of a golf course, and was told that the pretty pictures I was using weren't really conducive and useful for 40 to 50-year-olds. They probably wouldn't like this. So I went back to the drawing board and I broke every single rule on purpose. I put small 1-inch boxes on both sides. I center aligned the text. I used about 4 fonts. I made all this, and it went back to the person in charge, and they were like, that's exactly what they want. And I said, and I am freaking out of here. I can't handle this.
I had never heard that. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So I freelanced for about 3.5 years, which is how I developed a relationship with my other business partner, Jeremy. He was at the city of Edmond as well. And then in 2011, I had the opportunity to go work for Chesapeake at a graphic design position that paid really well until I got laid off in 2013. That also paid well to get laid off. It worked out great. And then I was at Finch Creative for about 15 months, and we started Clover in January of 2015. That's kind of, I had hit burnout when I left Chesapeake. Last year there had been awful, and I decided that I didn't want to leave the industry. I wanted to stay in it and just change what I did. So I wanted to focus on client relations, the operations side, actually going out, talking with clients initially, with prospects, and getting new business and things like that. So that's what I still do daily with Clover.
Thankfully. How many designers in the room? And developers? Okay, you all need a Clint. You cannot have Clint, but you all need a Clint. I mean, it's amazing to have somebody that is thoroughly versed in design, talking to our clients and processing with them all the relationship, just building that along the way, because he can speak to design, he can speak to the dev side, and it's fantastic. So I'm going to rewind. That's my little love affair for you there, Clint.
Gosh.
That's weird that I just said it that way. Leslie, my wife.
Scott's wife is
yeah,
right
she's
there.
right there. So it's a business love affair. Yes, all right. Let me rewind. I'll tell you a little bit about where I got my start. Since Clint started with Corel Draw, I thought I would one-up him. Anyone know this computer?
She does.
PC Junior, an IBM PC Junior. I mean, I don't even know how old I was, and I just Googled this up last week because I
know
was
how old you are
thinking
now.
about, yeah, I mean, it's freaking old.
Just kidding.
But I remember when I was thinking about getting my start, I remember trying to draw this angelfish, and it's the angelfish that was on the software. Yeah, that's, I don't know what that is, like the disc cover or whatever. But I remember this image, and for some reason, this was the beginning of design for me, because I obsessed about every pixel. And I think the pixels were about like this big way back then. So it was like 5 to do it. But I remember just as a little kid wanting to get it picture perfect, wanting to get it pixel perfect. And that's kind of the way it started for me in design. Took as many art classes as I could take, drawing and painting and all of those things. And then somewhere along the way, really, oh my gosh, hold on. Name this game. All right, who was it?
Right there. Here.
Who was it?
Okay.
Well done. Greatness, right? Why is this not playing? This is killing me. It really should play. Oh, nope. So anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. That is not about evolution at all. It's just a game.
Maybe they'll make King's Quest for the Switch.
Ooh,
That would evolve.
that would be nice.
Zelda was
yes,
amazing.
Absolutely, that would be nice. So the oh, there we go. Now he's moving around. So I get going in design, but I mean, just as a little kid, and this is the extent. I remember doing hours of like drawing the map to try to figure out where to go for this thing. So much time, so much of my youth. King's Quest. I'm such a nerd. But I didn't actually go in the direction of design. All of my education, like formal education, is theology. I started doing ministry, started working in churches, and as I was doing that, I always brought in, no matter what I was doing, I would bring in design work as much as I could. And then it got to the point where I started getting asked to do, I mean, not like everybody's asking me to do something. That sounds ridiculous. I think like my grandmother wanted a pamphlet or something. But like I had people asking me to do stuff, and I just started absorbing everything that I could with design. I would go to Barnes & Noble. My wife and I would go to Barnes & Noble, and I would sit down with a stack of design books and magazines. Computer arts, no, what is it? Communication arts, yeah. So I would just get all the magazines, all the books, and just devour everything that I could. Still going. I don't know how long he'll go. I think it's 17 minutes. I'm not going to go that long. I promise. Okay, so you're advancing it.
Well, I mean, he's gonna go forever. Is
Yes,
that right?
exactly. So energy drinks. This is what we're talking about now.
I guess so. I don't know.
No, this is why we're talking about it. I started doing freelance. So I'm doing ministry stuff. I started also doing freelance. And if any of you, how many freelancers in the room? Okay, so what I figured out was I need a lot of caffeine to be able to do the things that I'm saying I can do. And so very little sleep. You remember these days,
He
right?
still needs a lot of caffeine.
Yeah,
to do
I do. But here's the thing. While I was going for energy drinks, the greatness showed up. Let's just take a minute. Ode to cold brew. Huh? Cold brew? It's the greatest thing ever. You guys are not loving it? Okay, all right. This is what has
You got one
fueled
person.
me. I know, one person. That's all right. Well,
You got,
come on. That's a notebook for you. And I don't know if you guys knew, Edible let me know today, and you, if you follow them, that cold brew has been accepted into the Webster's Dictionary. I mean, it was like a moment of silence for me this morning.
he was really excited on our Slack channel. He was like,
I was like, woohoo! In fact, you can even see my little comment down there at the bottom. I got it in there before it got pushed down. Woohoo! This is me on Slack and Instagram most days. So I'm doing freelance, moved back here, and got the really cool opportunity to do some shirts for Shop Good. What an awesome store. The Falks are amazing people, and did a few shirts there. And while I was like dabbling and getting more involved in the design world, this I feel like took me over the edge. Like I had to do more design. And so from that point on, from like a decade of living here, did freelance, picked up with the crew at Finch, and getting to work with Clint, getting to work with Chris Castro, ridiculous designer and everything, axe whittler and all. Just getting to work with him, you guys got to meet Elizabeth Maxwell a few months ago. She spoke.
she started interning when we were there.
Yeah. Those guys just helped really hone my design, I feel like. And the more I got a taste of that and committed to those things, the more Clint and I began to dream about what could it look like? What could we really do? And I think for me, I really found a home in digital design, branding, but certainly web design, and like putting most of my eggs in those baskets, really digging in and honing in. And so this was a little bit of the process of our branding a couple years ago. So we sit down and we say we're going to start Clover with Jeremy and Brandy and our other two founders and partners in Denver, and unreal. From that moment on, it hasn't been roses, but it has been this way of like getting to dream what we want it to look like and getting to see that happen. One day we dream it, the next day we're putting it on Instagram. We're a company. Kind of crazy.
It was pretty nuts.
Pretty nuts. So this is some of the work that we've gotten to do. Spokey is a cool coffee shop in Denver. Just a lot of great stuff. And then I'm always doing something on the side. This is more for me to process life. And it has to come through like art and digital art. So working through some U2 posters, just finished that up. Random.
How many of those did you do from that album? How many
Okay,
songs?
so I did like 6 or 7, I think.
Are you going to sell the poster as a set?
Yeah,
All right.
I need to.
Scrivprints.com, right?
That's right.
Scrivprints.com.
Walking billboard, ridiculous. Yes, exactly. So this is our whole team. I mean, we look kind of like that.
Haley doesn't wear glasses, so she looks kind of odd on the
Right. Right. We're sitting in the wrong, we should
It's okay.
switch here.
think we'll make it.
Anyway, so one of the things that now that you've got our background, a little bit about our background, we want to talk about this idea of getting unstuck. How do you get unstuck? You want to go first? I'm going to ask you.
So when we were talking about this, the interesting thing about giving a talk with both of us up here is to figure out how to tie in the business side and the design side. And as we were thinking through this, we thought, well, what are some questions that overlap? How do you get unstuck? Well, there's lots of ways that I get stuck, and there's lots of ways that Scott gets stuck in the design direction. So we thought, well, maybe we'll just do this. And then we want to hear some ways on how you guys get unstuck too. We're gonna leave time for questions at the end. I would say from, I do a lot of proposals, I handle a lot of phone calls, I'm always trying to get people to call me back, I'm always trying to figure out ways to get people to acknowledge that they received the proposal. I'm trying to get people to tell me how much they want to spend, other than just, no, you tell me, and then I'll figure it out. No, please, tell me a number, any kind of number. Let me do a range. But some of the things that have worked to get unstuck, and I've got just a few here, for instance, with proposals, it's important to deliver those when you say you're going to deliver them. If you say, I'm going to have it to you by end of day Friday, have it to them end of day Friday, and then follow up. I read something the other day that was saying that I believe it was 80% of closed business happens between like the 10th and 12th follow-up, and most people stop following up after the second time. So I will tell people up front, I'm going to follow up until I get a no. So it's not that I'm trying to be, crazy ass guy from Clover. I want an answer one way or the other. And then there's this really great trick that I learned this year. And how many people have ever had the person that will never respond back? They just won't. It's like sending it into a black hole, nothing back. So I was reading this book. I highly recommend it. It's How to Negotiate. And you hit me up on Instagram or Twitter and I'll send you the name because it escapes me right now. But there's one question that he said, if you ask this every time, you'll get responses back. And damned if he's not right. You send him an email, and it just says, have you given up on this project? And instantly they go, whoa, 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 whoa. It puts it all back in their court. They don't want to feel like they're failing at something. So they're like, no, of course I haven't given up on this project. I've used it, guys. It works.
It totally
You can use
works.
different versions of that. You don't have to be quite so blunt. But, if you're just kind of at that point, 7 words. Have you given up on that project or this project?
You're typing it in, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna use this.
I tried it. I was like, I
Absolutely.
don't know about this. And there was this person that had not called me back, had not done anything. And I sent it back. I swear I got a response within like 2 hours. No, we haven't given up on this project. It just got stalled for blah, blah, blah. And then the conversation can start again. So it's easy to kind of keep it going. If you're having trouble closing business, sometimes it's good, and we found it's nice to have kind of a referral network. So we have a referral structure. If I have a friend that I know is really well connected with lots of business people that I may not be connected with, we'll offer that same referral structure to them. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's not any kind of formal agreement. They don't even have to close any business for me. They just need to get my foot in the door and put me in contact with somebody who can make a decision or who can get me in front of a decision maker, and I write them a check. And I want to write checks all day long. It'd be great. That means more business is coming in. So that's one of the ways that we can kind of keep new clients coming in. We don't do outside sales very much. Almost all of our business has been referrals up until now, which we've found has been really great. It's quality leads. And then we've also tried incentives. So, for example, if a client comes back and, let's say it's a slow time and you need some business, you can say, all right, well, if you sign by this date, we'll offer you 10% off the project price or 5%. It doesn't really matter. It's not that you're giving them this huge discount, it's that you're offering them something. And then if you want to bake that into your price, you can do that. Those don't always work. That was one of the things that we tried that I thought might be good for us. Didn't really get us unstuck, so we kind of switched gears. And then I know I'm moving really fast. I'm trying to hit the high points, but with our invoicing, one of the things that we've done to get unstuck as far as getting payments is, number one, take any kind of money that they're going to pay. Take a credit card. Don't recharge the 3% credit card fee back to the client. Write it off at the end of the year. It's a business expense. It makes it easy. At the end of the day, even if you're accepting a $10,000 payment, it's not that much in credit card fees, and you have money in the bank. And we have a 21-day payment policy, which kind of gets it noticed a little more than your standard 30 days. And we also have a pretty hefty late fee. If they don't pay us, we have a 10% late fee. Now, we have hardly ever had to use that because you can always say, oh, don't charge the late fee. Great, I'm going to dismiss it. But if they're 50 days overdue, then 10% late fee instead of a standard 1.5% after the first 30 days, and then that increases. It's those little things for us that have worked that cause people to take notice more than just reading over something that's standard. And that's kind of, that's one of the ways I think we've had, less than 10 overdue invoices in the last 2 years and 5 months.
Yeah.
Everybody pays up. But we also have those conversations up front as well.
Mhm.
That's all I've got on the unstuck from this
That's
side.
good.
Should we
Good
take
stuff.
questions on that stuff?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
wait till the end?
Whatever.
Are there any questions so far?
Fresh on
you don't
our
have to have
minds.
questions.
I missed correcting me while I was taking.
You're
You
fine.
said something about you want to write checks all 10 weeks.
I will pay, so for instance, if you bring me someone who we end up doing business with, I will pay you a referral fee. And
They
then
got
we
to
have-
sign. They got to sign a contract.
They got to sign a contract, but you don't have to
But-
sell them or anything. I just need that initial introduction. And typically, we have a range. So like up to $15,000, we pay a percentage, and then from 15 to 30, we give a standard rate, and then another, on up from there. So that's what I was saying. If I could write checks all week long, I would love to write checks. It means more business in the door.
Everybody's ears perked up. Writing check. He's writing checks.
Well,
Like,
write you a
whoa,
check.
whoa, Clint, whoa. Any
Scott's
other
good for
questions
it.
about this?
Your turn.
All right, you'll have a chance to get back to Clint on these things. Remember the quote that we began with? This idea of rather than revolution, like just this consistent evolving, like small changes. Everything Clint just said about being unstuck, they're just little tweaks to a system that has already been in place. But they're the tweaks that we needed to make that got us where we needed to go, and made us a better company as a result.
And are making us a better company.
Yeah, we have
Constantly.
not arrived at.
I've arrived.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to catch up. So on the design side, which I obsess about, this idea of being stuck. Here's where I have found it for me, and I am guilty of all these things. Designers, you can admit with me that some of the most pretentious people and idealistic people are designers. Am I right? I'm right there. So I'm not calling you out, I'm calling myself out. But I don't want you to hear me say this, because then you got to hold me to it. I think sometimes I easily can see, and one of the things as we started Clover, the things that we dream about is like, how do we want to build a team? How do we want to bring people in and create environments for designers, for photographers, for content writers, like for developers? What does it look like for us to be a team that explores the dreams that we have? And one of those things I think is too many times we can get stuck. I can get stuck complaining about my client and what they want. Are you with me at all? It's way easier to say, I can't move forward on this brand or on this website because the ideas of my client just completely suck. Right? And then we just write the whole thing off. Like, well, I'm just going to get it done and out the door. I really think sometimes, all the time, creativity is absolutely working things out within limitations, right? Creativity is not do whatever you want and express yourself. That's like art, and it's wonderful. But designers, when we're designing, we're doing it for a client. And so, anyway, I just continually go back to this idea of, all right, maybe the idea is really shitty, and that's okay. That just means I'm going to have more of a conversation. Maybe I can explain why I think using this eye-bleeding color is not going to work. Or maybe I just need to figure out a great design in those parameters. And that is the challenge of being a designer at times. Like, let's embrace those limits. I don't know why I'm doing it like a charge. Let's embrace the limits and win. But that's the idea. Like, rather than complaining, is there a way to dig in and to either work with the client and help them see another way, or work with the client and help yourself see a different way? I think there's another side to it, which I already kind of mentioned, is that I can get stuck when I am clinging so tightly to the design that I think it's some kind of self-expression. I'm sorry, that brand for that helicopter company is not Scott Scrivener riding on the side. It's not me. It's what they want and what they need. And so when you go back to design is solving problems, which really sounds robotic, and it's that solve, repeat thing, right, that we mentioned. Actually, there's a real organic side to things. And there is a reason to make design decisions, great design decisions for our clients. And so we can go back to the research, go back to what we know, and maybe we break some of those rules, maybe we push out of them, but knowing that this is not a self-expression is a real help for me to just take a deep breath and dig back in. I'll do my personal project and I'll get all the satisfaction from that, but I'm going to dig back in and make this design what it needs to be. There's also, all right, I got one more. Working with assumptions is the worst place for me to work. Worst place I would think for all of us to work. Design without feedback, without information from a client is just like throwing darts in a dark room, right? I don't even, is that a saying?
It is now.
Darts in a dark room. That's what that is. But no, what I think what we've found, and Clover, like our team has been such an encouragement in this. Go back with the right kind of questions and ask more questions if you need it. Also, I started doing this with our mood board system. Like when we're showing a mood board, I mean, if somebody didn't tell me what I was supposed to get out of this mood board, I wouldn't know. So we started to go back and say, all right, what is it that we want our clients to say about this, and what is not helpful? And we kind of broke that down and began to write to them like, okay, this is the feedback I'm trying to get from you on this mood board. All these other things, we'll deal with them later, but let's deal with this right now and get our questions answered here and then move on.
It's worked well.
So those, like breaking down the design process and not working with, sometimes we just don't know what our clients need or what they're saying, or they don't know what to say to tell us. That's all a part of the process. But asking really good questions, taking really good notes, listening, all of those things are basics, but they really help get us unstuck, I think.
Can I add one thing into that?
Would you please?
We will let the client, in most cases, talk to whoever they need to talk to on the team during a project. If there's something that I am not being able to accurately convey between Jeremy or between Brandy, we don't usually hesitate to put them in direct contact so that they can get it directly. I mean, there's something to be said from Scott talking directly to the client and then goes, oh, I get it. Or, with a development item. So sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking because you kind of sometimes there's the tendency to want to have a layer of protection there, but it's useless. Like, it's much better to just talk.
Yeah. Good stuff. Any questions? Yes.
Have you ever had to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that I go back to is it doesn't need to be the very first thing out of my mouth. Have I worked on, or have we as a team really tried to see what is it they're asking, and maybe try to feel out what the intent is and all of those things. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are the experts, and so we're going to have to help guide the client And sometimes that means that they don't love what we're doing, or we don't really love their feedback or whatever. It's a relationship. So not to completely destroy the first idea of like, don't complain, but I would hold to that and still stand my ground at sometimes. So it's kind of a feel it out.
Well, then in regards to price, they have to do the same thing. So if they come
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and they have a
business-wise.
feature that they want to add and it's completely out of scope, you've got to be okay saying, hey, this is out of scope. This is a feature. We can do this in a phase 2, or we can do a change order, and we can add that on. And then we have to make sure, is it still attainable? Is the deadline still going to work? Are we still able to hit that while we're adding in more work? And again, it's just those open conversations. You know, in years past, before I had really kind of gotten comfortable talking about the money side, it's a temptation to go, oh yeah, I can do that. And then you're like, crap, I guess I can do that. I'm not going to make any money off of that, but you know, the client asked me to do this. Yeah, that, my partners would have my head. So yeah, we try to be pretty frank about that. And most of the time they're pretty cool about it. They get it. You know, if they're running a business, they know the same thing would happen if somebody came to them and asked for something free. Or they should know.
And that's where, I mean, and by the way, guys, we're not saying like we've got all this stuff figured out.
Oh, yeah.
You can speak to so many of these things.
That's what's
But-
so fun about it, is we get to keep experimenting. If somebody has a
Yeah,
new idea, we
absolutely.
can try the new idea.
Absolutely,
I like
but we've never erred on communicating too much with our clients.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's the process. Even if we can't get to a place where everybody agrees and we have to say no, it's been over long discussions or long painstaking kind of processes.
And I would say where it's broken down on our part is where we weren't communicative enough with our
Mhm.
clients, and we can tell.
Yeah.
You can go back. Do you have
Absolutely.
a question?
Yeah. So, but,
Right.
to meet that deadline.
Right.
So what do you feel with that?
No, it's really good. You know, when we send a mood board, and sometimes we'll have them in. I always love the face-to-face, but it doesn't always get to happen. Sometimes you do have to send it off. We always pair it now with a sheet that says, this is what you're looking at, this is what we need back, like everything that's expected. And when we send that over, we also give them like, this is when we expect some kind of response back. And so once we've acknowledged that we're going to give you, you know, and it's something that we didn't just throw on them, it's been a part of the calendar, but like, we need to hear back from you by Thursday on this for us to stay on track. If Thursday goes by and we haven't heard from them, well, one, we're going to reach out to them, but then we're also going to remind them that we agreed that if we heard back by Thursday, we could stay on track. If not, we're going to have to readjust our schedule. And that's all really uncomfortable to communicate, but way better to communicate those things than having to deal with we've blown through our deadline and I can't even tell the client how many times I've been waiting on them, and like we're done for at that point. So if we're telling them all the time, like this is what's coming up, this is when it's going to end, this is when we need to get back, or we're going to have to redo this. It's kind of like Siri, when you take a wrong turn, you're rerouting. It's like letting you know, okay, we're going to have to reroute this thing. Same with our projects.
Yeah, and I would say if you don't have an email client that lets you track opens, you should get one. That has been a game changer for me. There's a really great one out right now that has a good app as well, called Astro, and you can have it track it can track the opens. So I just want to know if an email has been opened. At least I can say that, oh, they opened that, 3 days ago, time to follow up. And then you can even use that. Hey, I noticed you opened my email 3 days ago.
It's creepy.
But you know what?
No, it's awesome.
It may be creepy, but it works really well.
It's fantastic.
So yeah, that's been pretty amazing. There's one out
It
there.
also tells you where the person is when they opened it, which is No, I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. That's the secret part of that.
You're
app.
right. Oops. Astro.
No, there's a paid service called Cloze, CLOZE. That's kind of a hybrid CRM. And then Astro's been my favorite so far, and it's free, and it's a really robust app.
This guy is great to find out about apps and whatnot. So hit him up on the Slack channel, and all day long, books and apps. This guy can do
I
it.
do like it. I do like it. Anything else on the topic of getting unstuck before we move on to the next question?
Uh-huh.
That we were unprepared for, and how do we overcome it? Oh, that we thought we were unprepared for. You know, I think it's been learning how to work together with 4 partners, honestly, because you have to have buy-in. And the way we're structured, our ownership is not the same percentage across the board, but the voting is. So on almost everything, you know, it's pretty much everybody's got to have a buy-in, and that's really challenging. And it has caused us to have conversations between each other, conversations with the 4 of us. We've had to have kind of, you know, it's a small team, but you still have to have kind of relationship building going on. That's been huge for me, anyway.
Yeah, gosh.
Is that the kind of answer you're looking for? From a client side, like business wise, I think the biggest one that happened was when we quoted an enormous project last year and learned after the fact that we would have gotten it had we taken kind of a test project up front, and it would have totally changed the entire trajectory of our business sooner than we thought it would.
Well, we didn't know it was a test.
But I didn't realize it was,
Right.
you know, at the time we didn't know it was kind of a demo. They didn't even realize it was a test. It was more like, hey, we need this done now. Can you guys do this? And we got as low as we thought we could go. Somebody else evidently came in lower, and when it came time to get all of the business, and we're talking multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, we didn't get it. And you know, in the follow-up call, with the person that I talked to, she was very candid, and I asked, you know, that's another thing. If you don't win a project, email them back and ask why. Try to figure out what it was. Was it price? Most of the time, we're like in the middle to the high side of price, but oftentimes it's not the price that is a hindrance. It's they're not ready to engage. But specifically for that one, I think that was really hard. That was hard for me because I was like, man, if I had viewed it that way, you know, I would have done it super low in the hopes for, you know, and that's kind of a rare instance, but
Yeah,
broke my heart a little bit.
it's still hard to think about. Thanks for bringing that up. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's get into our last question. And we don't have, I don't know. Do you want to ask that of me, or do you want me to ask that of you?
Okay.
Or do we ask it? of
I had a
them?
couple of things I was going to talk about,
Oh shoot!
but it's just
Oh,
it's
on
kind
this.
of one. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Okay,
So
Clint, what happens when it just doesn't work? I mean, I'm just pulling that from. Were you prepared for that?
I mean, if it doesn't work, I feel like all you have to do is evolve or die.
That's right.
No, the couple of things that I had were this year in particular. I was trying to figure out with proposals. Maybe coming in at one price for a client is not the best thing to do. So maybe we offer options. Maybe they come to us and ask for this, and you say, okay, we can do this, and we'll do this, and have an option here. And initially, the feedback that I was getting from them, while it wasn't like business being closed, was more communication. And I thought, oh, this is great. They're asking questions. We're having more conversations about this. 5 months later, we are changing gears because we feel like, and I feel like, that I was confusing the issue. So it's one of those things that it wasn't working. I had high hopes for offering, you know, options for proposals, and there are times that it would work. But, you know, we kind of went back to the table and said, hey, this may be actually confusing. So let's switch it up. Let's go back to what we were doing and then make the proposals shorter, make them more concise. Have those conversations that you might have typed up in a proposal to explain everything. Have those on the phone call with the why conversation, and then just give them what you talked about with the here's the price tag. to kind of take all of that stress, away from having a big long proposal. And then asking a lot of questions. Like I've started asking questions like, what would a home run look like when you work with us on this project? Or if you could wave a magic wand and accomplish one thing about this project that they're wanting to do, what would it be? Or name 3 priorities today that you have. And those kinds of questions for me have kind of kept it a little bit more fresh and helped me communicate better. And also it kind of tears down that wall that a prospect initially has when they talk to you, that, oh, this is more just a conversation. He's not just trying to get my budget because he wants to like max it out. He actually cares, and knows what this will cost. So that's what happens when it doesn't work for me. I'm constantly looking for ways to make it better. How do you get when something doesn't
I
work?
wasn't ready for that, when something doesn't work. No,
Drinking
I think
cold brew?
we talk a lot. Yeah, I just go back to the night train. It's Slingers.
Scott wants to have a cold brew on tap in our office.
Oh, it would be the greatest thing. Actually, I mean, I would go for an IV, but I really think I would die. But on tap, one day, it's happening. It's gonna happen, and I'll invite all of you to come have it.
So don't you live in a coffee shop?
Basically, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah,
We're right next to
We're
Cuppies
right
on
next to
Joe.
Cuppies, and so we frequent
They don't
them
have it on tap.
a lot. When I think about, I mean, this is more like kind of big picture, but what happens when it just doesn't work? I think we talk a lot about no sacred cows, like not having anything that is so like I have to hang on to this one thing. Like anything's up for grabs, except for the reason we came together and the reason we're doing. It's our why. Like, why are we doing what we're doing? That will grab on and never let go. But everything else, like the way we're doing the design process, the way that we're working with clients, the way, like, nothing is so sacred that we cannot let go of it, or at least question, do we need to change this process? Or just because the industry taught us this, is this really what we need? Like, for instance, which this was like a small thing, but in our design process for websites, we were doing wireframes. I mean, I had done wireframes a lot of different ways, and the more we worked with the wireframing process, the more we felt like, man, this feels like a bloated process, spending way too much design time, when we can communicate what we actually want to communicate with our developers and with content strategists and all of those things in a different way. And so we looked at it differently, and we developed this process of, like, we call it blueprinting. And it has been so much more streamlined for us. We can designers can glance at it and see, these are the big things that I need to make sure and keep in mind. Content looks at it and says, these are the things I need to be very specific about. And then dev looks at it and does the same thing. We get what we needed from the wireframe, but we changed the process. I don't know if we'll keep it up for the next year, but for right now, it's a process that really helps us. And we didn't hold on to, like, this is what you're supposed to do, and we moved on.
Yeah.
Kind of like leaving Photoshop for Sketch,
Who uses Sketch in here? Anybody? You're against it? No. Oh, your kids do. I was like,
I am
gotta
against it.
understand why.
I am protesting right now. That's why I'm here. No Sketch.
Sorry. I was like, I've got to hear the reason why here.
But I mean, it's those little things. Again, going back to the quote, it's just maybe being aware of, like, some small shifts that we can take to make things feel a little bit better in the process, in the design process.
And it is slow. I mean, that whole, the part of the quote where it says it takes time.
I don't like that.
There are days when I wish I could rush this and just be like, all right, got it. Everything's working. People are emailing back, signing contracts. No. It's sometimes tedious.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really change anything. I like the fact that we tweak our process and over communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what? Oh,
Yes, of course. I like that. Any questions that you guys have?
How do you guys handle, like, it always happens?
Right, right.
Well, first we panic.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we sit down and, you know, you have to kind of do a first come, first serve and have a conversation with your client and say, hey, this is where it's at, and here's where we can start, and here's where we can finish realistically. You know, and if they want to bail, they want to bail. But they came to us for a reason, so most of the time they're cool waiting.
And I think within the team, being able to get better and better about communicating what you need for the process. Like if you've got 5 things that are dropping on your desk next week, some realistic expectations for what you can get done or how you can go about it. And that takes just a lot of communication with each other. Like I get hints from each of the team on, okay, am I dreaming, or could I really get this done in this amount of time? And thankfully, we've had enough time together where we can begin to see, yeah, that's completely unrealistic. Let's push it out. Clint is great about like adding. Anytime I tell him a date, he pads that thing, and it is awesome. And I don't even want to know about it. You just keep me thinking the deadline is then, and I don't care when it actually is, but I like that pressure. Nice.
It's yeah.
Anything else? Yeah, this is an
You want me to
easy
answer
one.
this one?
This is the absolute easy one. Yeah, for
It's-
us. Yeah.
It's Focus Lab out of Savannah. I met Bill Kinney like 2.5 years ago, right before we started Clover. I met Bill at an AIGA Oklahoma event. They had him in to speak. Were you there? And I was instantly like taken with how their process worked and how they handled their clients and how they presented their work. And Bill was gracious enough to answer every question I had. He's had phone calls with us, and he's kind of consulted with us and said, hey,
yes.
you know, so if I have a question, most recently it was like, oh man, this is happening. And he's like, oh man, we've been there. Sends me a picture of what he wrote and stuck up on his wall 3 years ago, you know, to just say, hey, this is something that we've dealt with as well. Look at where we were at, look at where we're at now. You know, keep doing what you're doing, it'll pay off. So I kind of, if it's a great question, I would say that's my industry hero.
Oh, absolutely.
It's Focus Lab.
And he's been, when we've got nothing to give him, and he was so willing.
Yeah, he did a Skype call with the 4 of us when we started the company, and we asked him a bunch of questions.
Like
and he was
2
just
days
like,
in to getting started, we Skype with him. I don't know what hour it was. It seemed like it was really late.
It was in the afternoon.
Oh, it was really late because that was the 5th afternoon I had gone with just cold brew. But anyway,
It was Brandy that we Skyped at midnight.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you know, he was so willing to just not rush and just sit and answer our questions, and continues to. And we get to jump on on a Slack channel with him, and he will respond immediately. Just a really good dude. So good question. That's an easy answer for us.
Yeah, they're a great fellow. I haven't gotten to meet his business partner, Eric. I think it's Reagan, but I'm sure he's equally as
Brandy
genuine.
is gonna get to go hang out with them this
I
summer.
know, I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
You guys are split the deal. How does, the feel working parts of it? Are you remote a lot?
You want to answer that one?
Yeah, well, we spend a lot of time on video chat. High Five is what we use. We make sure and check in. We pretty much check in every day that way. If not, we're always on Slack. That's the only way I think that we could actually stay as close as we do. But then also, I mean, it's not that far, and both of our partners in Denver, They have family and are from this area, so they come back quite a bit. So we're willing to travel when we can. It's not always easy. Haley Waldo, who is our designer and photographer, she actually is in Denver right now. She hopped on a plane this morning. So, we try to travel back and forth, but I mean, I feel like everyone feels really close to our clients, regardless of where they are, whether they were here or there.
Yeah,
that
and then as
help?
far as the clients go, if I would say 50% of our clients are here in this general area, and the rest are kind of spread out.
Yeah.
If we need to have video calls, we can add them into the high five, and it's worked out great. We have a conference line for the more traditional phone calls, which that's good sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong, nothing replaces the whole team in one room together. That's fun, but
Yeah.
we make it work. You had a question?
I live no next. Awesome. What do they look like? What do they do? Where are they?
Our next awesome client. I can't tell you who exactly it is. I know who it is.
Oh, it has to be like-
My ideal client.
Are you saying like what we
The
would
ideal
aspire
client?
to? Yeah. That's a good.
So I will say that over the last couple of years, we have had a lot of fun working with family-owned manufacturing companies. They're businesses that have budgets, for one thing. They realize that what they're embarking on is a business expenditure, so it's just kind of, this is how we're going to do it. But they're really invested in what they're doing as well, and they're passionate about it, and it comes through in meetings with them. And that happened also with a law firm that we worked with too.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Yeah,
That's for me. So what would your?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yours would be complete design freedom, right? To do whatever you want.
absolutely, just do anything. No, really, I think for the most part, we probably aspire as a team for those clients, no matter what area they're in,
Right.
those clients that are going to bring us in for beginning to end kind of process. We're at our best when we're getting to be involved in content, dreaming, strategy, design, development, and all of that. So I like to think of ourselves not just like doing a website or doing a brand or writing content, but like we're at our best when we're all cylinders on a project. And those, those are long and sometimes slow processes for us to work with someone with that much. I mean, that's a 6-month plus process. But I think that's where we're at our best. I mean, we can do all those other things, but that's the client that I love seeing walk in. Like when they're gonna want brand guides and voice guides, and they're gonna see this fleshed out in the website and come back for, maybe social media strategy or all of that, like really getting to think through the big process.
Anybody else? Excuse me.
On average, how much time do you spend on like a, let's say like a branding project, starting off? Or like the guidelines? What's like the timeline?
The question was, how long do we spend time-wise on a branding project? You want to go for it? I would say that we try to estimate those as far as days spent. Our most recent one, I would say that we probably spent a total of 14 days beginning to end, maybe.
Yeah.
That's spread out over the course of whatever their project timeline is, obviously, because you have other projects
There's
too.
communication and
Right.
stuff going back and forth, but like actual, design.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
it's not like 2 weeks you got your brand. No, but like actual like
and that was this was a pretty
hands-on.
small one. It wasn't
Right.
as involved as
Right.
a brand and voice
And it went
guide,
pretty-
and it was very
Yeah,
smooth.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys go about the vision?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you just kind of like, I'm gonna look again?
No,
With,
Our tip,
yeah, go ahead.
well, our typical language is going to be 3 rounds. First round will be a narrowing down to 1, and then
Two
this-
revisions based on
2
that one.
revisions on that direction, basically. So that's round 1, round 2, round 3, and then we'll tell them. Often we'll tell them how many options they're going to get on that round 1. Had a designer talk about doing no trying out, like no variations, just one design, which is, that'd be awesome. We haven't tried that, but yeah, that's typical.
And yeah, for branding stuff.
Yeah, the 3
For
revisions,
website
yeah.
design, they get 1, and then
Yeah.
we revise it. By the time we've gotten to the design stage, we've done all the research, we've had all those conversations, and 95% of the time, pardon me,
We're not redesigning.
they look at it and go,
anything
"That's
with
exactly
it.
what I pictured in my head."
With the design. Yeah, I mean, but again, they've all but seen it. They just haven't
Right.
had the presentation, but they've pretty much walked through the process. There aren't really any surprises other than, oh my gosh, we love it. No, I mean, really, that's what we get, but whatever.
Ever done orally, I think, where like it's something simple for sure. To charge for the hour or just like
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
We have done that. We kind of, as much as we try to stay away from hourly, you've still got to have some of those things internally and say, well, this is how much it's going to cost. We try not to project that back to the client and say, this is the hourly, this, if you want this item, this is how much this item will cost. Yeah. It's just so much easier than having to explain, well, it only took me 5 minutes because I've done this for 15 years, versus, you shouldn't be, my thought is that you shouldn't be penalized for how professional you are and how good you are at something by only charging an hour for what happened. So
Yeah.
we try to move away from that, and we try to advocate for other people to move away from it too.
Right. My father is an attorney, and I mean, he's been doing it for, I mean, it has to be at least 50 years, right? And so I talked to him about this value-based pricing, and he was just like, this would have been amazing. Like, why didn't I know about this? Like, because obviously, I mean, he can look at a will and in 2 minutes tell you what's wrong with it or everything that's right with it. Why punish him for that?
Because lawyers
efficiency?
bill in what, 6-minute increments?
It's like 2.5.
2.5 minutes?
Right. But I mean, it's my dad.
Yeah, I love your dad.
So rude.
He helped us with our partnership agreement
Yeah,
before
I
we had a
know,
lawyer.
I know, but,
Get a lawyer.
you know.
If you don't have an attorney, get
Oh
an attorney.
gosh, yes,
Develop a
we've got a good one.
relationship.
Yeah.
If you need one, Blake Lawrence at Hall Estill is fantastic.
Kara, you just asked that, and you got. Okay, yeah. So that's why you need to be in Slack, because diamonds, gems like that.
I'm sorry, what? What's your test? For finished design? We usually run it through that, Jeremy is our chief architect and he handles that with our developer, but a lot of times it's just everybody get on as many browsers as you can, start finding stuff that's wrong, and then we make laundry lists of bugs. We don't do any we don't currently do any prototyping during the design because we don't have enough bandwidth to do that. And it's really hard to kind of build in. For us, it's hard to build in that cost. I would love to prototype every design because it's much easier to sell it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We would
Right.
like to, and we're looking at possibly using something like Principal to pull in it's Principal for Mac. I don't know if they have a Windows version, but you pull in your sketch files and you can give it, you can assign activity to the different elements without actually having to do any front end development for it.
So a little
But
UX
no,
work
our
there.
testing,
but-
it's not anything super formal. And then we give it to the client and we let them do the same thing, and then before it ever launches, we've worked out all the kinks.
Yeah, yeah, it's been looked at and worked on in many different ways
Yeah.
before it goes live.
Coming down to the end of the time. You have one more
Okay,
quote
I got
for
one
us?
more quote.
All right.
One more quote. Okay. Marshall McLuhan, anyone?
You gotta talk into the microphone.
Anyone? Okay, let me read it. There's absolutely no inevitability as long as there is a willingness to contemplate what is happening. Anything stand out? What? Okay, all right, yeah. So, I mean, what's that? Yes. All those things. Like, this is so hopeful. And whether you feel stuck or like you're at the end of a process that just didn't work, totally failed, I mean, I think that this encapsulates a lot of what hopefully you've kind of gleaned from what we've been talking about. This idea that, like, with eyes open, with really listening, with looking and seeing life around you. I mean, this is a life thing, but also our business thing. Like, being willing to really consider what's gone on, or reflecting on at the end of the project, looking back and going, man, we could have communicated better here. We could have done this better here. Like, being able to just be aware of those things always gives an open door for change, and you're not stuck. You can make the adjustment. All right, get back up and do the next thing. So, I mean, this is meant to kind of give you like a rah-rah hope, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Or you can evolve or die. Do it or die. So dramatic.
We were gonna give away a book tonight, and I was gonna put a little sticky on the bottom of somebody's chair, but I got here what I thought was plenty amount early time, and there were like 10 people here. So, if you hit me up on Twitter and say I want the book, we'll put your name into a raffle, and we'll give it to whoever
does
wins.
that work?
I'll just count all the direct messages or the
Okay.
ats, right? Will that work? That should work. And the book is do at Clover, at Crafted by Clover.
Crafted by Clover.
Yeah. Will you show them the book?
Yes.
It's called Getting Naked.
It's awesome. For so
Has
many
anybody read
reasons,
this book?
It's awesome.
It's good, right?
Getting Naked.
Patrick Lencioni writes these business fables, as he calls them. So the first 2/3 of the book is basically a story that illustrates his points, and then he gives you the steps. And this one's about how to basically start working with a client from the first meeting, and how that builds credibility in their mind and gets you better projects. And it's been great. It's probably one of the only ones that we all four read
Yes.
this last year.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was like,
Yes.
read this, people.
Yeah,
And we
we
keep
all-
going back to it. So, yeah,
Really good stuff.
that's all we got.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being out here tonight. I'm glad you guys could make it. Next month, I believe it's June 10th is our next meetup, and Alex with Tech Systems is actually going to be talking briefly about kind of the current climate in Oklahoma City, where she sees this next 5 years going, and kind of what new design jobs are coming, because they do a lot of job placement with Tech Systems, and they work with a lot of clients that are coming to Oklahoma City, and so she'll be able to give us an overview on that. After that, we're doing some lightning round talks. We haven't done those before. Basically 5 minutes. You'll get to hear a number of people. We haven't quite worked that out, 5 or 7-ish people, on the topic of UX design and product design. So it's a little bit more technical than what we've also been doing. I'm a designer, so you hear a lot of designer background kind of stuff. People that I reach out to. So now we're trying to get more technical kind of stuff in as well. So be here for that, and I'll announce shortly who those people are. Got a few working. So yeah. Oh, another thing is I did not bring up sign-up sheets so that you could actually join our Slack team. But if you go to meetup.com/design, where you found this group in the first place, if you find us on Meetup, there's a way to sign up for Slack in the About page and get involved with people there. There's a lot of faces here that are already on that channel, and it's just good for conversation. So a way to be connected when we're not here together. So yeah, thank you so much, and have a good night.